Good morning to all the participants of this regional public talk on outcome-based education. So with the blessing of Mata Gujri ji and the vision of Director Principal Dr. Kashmir Singh ji, under the IQAC we have decided to organize this uh, public talk on the outcome-based education. So outcome-based education is an approach uh, which is a part of academics that is focused upon goals that are the outcomes. So by the end of each program, now we have to analyze what are the outcomes gained by the students. So earlier, we focused upon input type of methods. Now the focus is shifted to the outcome. What are the outcomes taken by the students from our teaching learning process? So the role of the faculty now needs to be focused upon output means, and we have to twist our teaching methods and become student centric. The National Education Policy 2020 also demands that. We all have seen the course outcomes and program outcomes in our syllabi, but we never been told what are the importance of these course outcomes and program outcomes. We never focused upon these outcomes. But OBE does that. We all need to understand the importance of the learning by starting teaching differently and better. Progress demands change, evolution demands change. That is why, keeping in mind the importance of outcome-based education, Mata Gujri College, IQAC, had decided to organize this public talk and extended this public talk beyond region. That is why many scholars, teachers, professors, pan-India have registered under this program. So Mata Gujri College is leading in the part of OBE, and we have fully introduced OBE in our curriculum from the last session. So we are focusing upon new education policy 2020, which focused upon these OBE parts. So now I request the Director Principal Dr. Kashmir Singh ji to address the participant and welcome all and share the words of wisdom. Dr. Kashmir Singh.
Chief guest of the day or the main speaker of the day, Dr. Jayanti Dutta, IQAC coordinator, Professor Anupreet Singh, the convener of this program, Professor Pushpinder Singh, all my dear participants who have joined with us across India. A very good morning to all of you. First of all, I'd like to extend a very warm welcome to Mata Gujri College Fatehgarh Sahib in this seminar, which is, I suppose, very important for the future of education and future of the educational institutions in India. Right from the time immemorial, the quality education was the prime aspect of Indian education, and we have witnessed so many good universities and reputed universities even before AD. For that matter, as far as Indian education is concerned, after the Macaulay policy of education, probably a different mode and shape had been given to the Indian education system. And this NEP 2020, I think this is now rechannelizing that old tradition of Indian education as a matter of fact, and certainly, I feel that the part which the topic which we will be discussing today, and especially Dr. Jayanti Dutta, who is having long experience in these kind of activities. So she's with us, and she will be explaining the basics of OBE, because I feel that there is a paradigm shift from the traditional education and the traditional way of education which we in the educational institutions are imparting to the students, and that paradigm shift from the traditional to the outcome based, because previously it used to be the output based education, and now the paradigm shift from output to the outcome, that basically is or will be discussed today. And as far as that outcome based education, certainly it should be outcome based education, because otherwise education, if it does not give any outcome, and the students who get or who are imparted different knowledge aspects or different subjects are taught to them, and if that those subjects do not bring some visible changes as far as the knowledge of the students are concerned or knowledge of the learners are concerned, then education won't serve the purpose. So I suppose that paradigm shift is very important, and it is very unfortunate that across India, not many institutions or not many universities are have yet started this OBE part as a matter of fact, but it is coming up, and if I'm very happy that we this time have introduced this OBE in our some of the curriculum, and we have mapped the syllabus, and I think as far as the global education is concerned, if we are to compete with the globe, if we are to compete with the global education, certainly we'll have to make all these kind of shifts. And I'm very happy that our team of OBE, who is looking after the mapping part of the syllabuses and curriculum, they have done a tremendously good job, and they have initiated this idea or implemented this idea in the education system of Matagiri College, since it is an autonomous college, and this is the first autonomous college of North India. So it is a very good initiative, and I would like to thank IQAC coordinator Professor Anupreet Singh and his team, who was involved in this whole process. And so lastly, once again, I extend a very warm welcome to Dr. Jayanti Dutta and all the participants who are now with us in this seminar, and certainly after the deliberations or after the discussion which will take place, certainly something different and something new will come out of it, and certainly we all will be having some kind of glimpses of OBE, and how can it be useful and helpful for the education institution as well as for the students. I think that will be discussed today, and certainly that will be extended to different institutions as well. So thank you very much, and welcome to everybody to this seminar.
Thank you, sir. So, Director Principal Dr. Kashmir Singh ji rightly said we need to shift from output to outcome. So this is the need of the hour. So now the resource person of today's talk is Dr. Jayanti Dutta. She is the Deputy Director, UGC-Human Resource Development Center, Punjab University, Chandigarh. So she has over 26 years of experience in faculty training and faculty development programs, and worked with about 5,000 faculty members. So she has many research papers, books, and if I want to, or if I read all her biodata, then all the time will be consumed in that. So I request Dr. Jayanti Dutta to deliver the lecture on today's regional public talk. So Dr. Jayanti Dutta.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for inviting me to Mata Gujri College. I was just thinking about my earlier days in which I have physically visited the college and my around more than 10 years association with the college. I have gone, I think, more than once to the college and spoken to the students also, and have got a very warm relationship with the faculty members there. And I can see Dr. Neetu Trehan, Dr. Harneet Billing, all of my friends are also here on this platform. So congratulations for taking this initiative, for having a public talk. I think you should have more frequent public talks. And I think public talk means in which public is also there. Members of the civil society, parents, students, teachers, everybody is there. Everybody is there, and there is a lot of discussion after the talk. So that is, I think, the idea of public talk. I have never encountered this term before this, because usually people say webinars or seminars are there, but public talks are hardly conducted or organized in our institution. So congratulations for that. I would also say that I do not prefer at all personally this online thing, the online talking or online speaking to the laptop and looking at these ABCD, which is there without looking at the faces of the people. It is very demotivating, and I don't know that if actually it brings some benefit or not. But let us say that at least we will be able to hear to each other. So let us make this program more of a discussion, not of a talk, which is a single-sided or a monologue. But let us make it more as an interactive talk. And it is quite possible on an online platform. This is the beauty of the online platform also, that we here, if we are disciplined, we can also have a kind of very good discussion also here. So my idea that I would place before you, though I have the topic that I have given is about pedagogy and learning, why teach better. But it is also related to the outcome-based education, which the director principal and the Department of Sociology have actually raised or flagged that this is the important issue that we must consider or we must discuss here. I would place before you 2-3 points very clearly, and after that I would also request you to kindly, as I go, please give me your feedback or your comments. And again, as I said, let us make it an interactive session, because I think only that is the way to retrieve something of this online platform. I'm told that there are teachers as well as students here, Dr. Pushpinder.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? And as you said that we have people from all over India, so it is better if I speak both in English and Hindi. And I have 90 minutes here.
Ma'am, I couldn't hear you, ma'am.
How long time? What time do I have? How long can I go?
Ma'am,
Yes,
we
please.
have till 11, ma'am.
11. Okay, right. Then I would be very short and clear.
Yeah.
So, dear friends, let us begin with a very simple, and you would say, what kind of a question this is? A very simple question. Malkeet Kaur, you have raised your hand. Do you have something to say? If not, please lower your hand, Malkeet Kaur. Right? If you don't have anything to ask, then you can lower your hand. Otherwise, if you have anybody has to ask something, they can always raise their hands. Right? So my first question to you is, what is teaching? Again, I would repeat a very simple question to the teachers and students. What is teaching? And I would request you to put your answers or responses in the chat. You can write in Hindi also, in English also, even in Punjabi. What is your definition of teaching? Yes, I request all of you to give your responses. Yeah, right. So Charanpreet Kaur has initiated. Very good. I am receiving so many. Very good. Thank you. Sheetal Malik, Birinder Singh, Loveleen Kaur. Yes, more definitions I need. Ishmeet Aluwalia has put. Yeah, very good. I am very happy that so many, I think, students or teachers or whosoever is attending. Right. Good. Very good. Yes. Okay. Thank you very much. You can keep on writing because, in fact, this, what is your definition of teaching? It is very important to understand because though there is a technical definition of teaching in our education, books of education or encyclopedia on education, but what we really want to know is what do you understand by teaching? What does the student understand by teaching? And what does the teacher understand by teaching? Because if whatever you think is teaching, it is the same thing that you go in the classroom and do it, right? For example, if you think that telling good jokes and making the students laugh is teaching, then you will go into the class and do the same, right? So it is very important that we have a personal and very implementable and practical definition of teaching. Now, if you could see all these definitions and you can really have a statistical survey. My next question to you is how many of these definitions include the word knowledge, right? If you just go and check very quickly, you will find that most of the definitions which have been written here or which have been maybe you have not been able to write, but it is in your mind, they are focusing on the word knowledge, right? Most of the time when we ask teachers and students, they say teaching is about imparting knowledge. Though there are exceptions. Namdev ji has written, teaching is process of development. Many other people have also written that to make the person a better person is actually knowledge, is actually teaching. And teaching also involves knowledge as well as about bringing up that person in a particular way, in a specific way, making the person in a holistic personality. But when we ask teachers have this thing in their minds that knowledge or imparting of knowledge is teaching. And when the principal asks the students, has the syllabus been covered? So what do they say? The syllabus, if the teacher, what does we mean by teaching is that the teacher has spoken or uttered the syllabus once standing in front of the teachers. That we consider as teaching. Now my next question, don't forget this thing, what we have done just now. I am asking you the second question, and the second question is, when a student comes to your college in the first year, and when the students go out in the third year, after having his or her graduation degree, is the student the same? You can speak also and write also. No, yeah. Thank you, Charanpreet, Gagandeep Singh, Sonia Paul. I think everybody is saying, no, the student is not the same. So what are the changes that has been brought into the student? How the student has changed? What are the things which have changed? What are the aspects on which the student has changed? Right. Charanpreet Kaur, yeah, thank you. You are saying that student changes on knowledge, personality, understanding, lifestyle, confidence. Very right. I think many other things also you can write. Good. Creativity, career, very good. Gyaneshwarji, very good. Right. Thinking, knowledge, very good. So if you were sitting in front of me and we would have a blackboard, I would just put all these points that you have written in 3 columns, right? So whatever you have written here in the chat, we can actually put them in 3 columns. And I think all these people, all those people who have some kind of a degree in education or some readings in education, they know that all these depend. Yeah, Kamalpreet has already noted it down, that all these things are actually 3 domains of education. One domain is the knowledge. That means when the student enters the college for the first time and leaves the college after 3 years, his knowledge, his or her knowledge is vastly increased. In the first year, he doesn't know many things about the subject, about the world. But by the 3rd year, when he is out of the college, he has developed, he has gained a lot of knowledge, and his knowledge is enhanced. The second thing that you have written, like creativity, confidence, fearlessness, personality, all these things relate to, or understanding, all these things relate to another aspect, which is not knowledge, but it is the behavior of the student. It is the attitude of the student and the effective aspect of the domain of teaching. And when you go to the, you can see that the student, when the student enters in the first year, the student is quite shy. They don't have a worldview. They are not very socializing. They cannot work in teams, right? They do not understand the world properly. Their thinking is not proper. But as soon as first year, second year, and 3rd year, as the 3rd year student is going out, the student has matured a lot. He has gained confidence. He has got a worldview. He has got different uniqueness, his own personality. He can understand. He has a cognition of his own personality. So all these things he has gained, which is related to his behavior. That is, there is a transformation on the behavioral aspect. And the third aspect, which I think Gyaneshwarji has written, and it is the aspect of skills, right? That means when the student has entered in the first year, the student has almost no skill. He or she cannot have speak properly, like they don't have communication skills, either written or speaking communication skills. They do not have interpersonal skills, thinking skills, then subject related skills, because if you are from different subjects, if you're from commerce or sciences or from sociology or English, you will have different subject specific skills. The student does not know that also. But by the end of the 3rd year, his subject, all kinds of, whether they are generic skills, whether they are specific skills, both kinds of skills have increased. So these things, all these 3 domains, we remember them by KSA, as Kamalpreet has written, or KAS, that is CAS, that is knowledge, attitude and skill. There is another technical word for it. Knowledge is also termed as cognitive aspect. Skills is termed as psychomotor aspect, and attitude is termed as the affective aspect, affective or behavioral aspect. If you want to remember them even more easily, usually what we say is these are 3H, right? That these are 3H, and I think this is also very easy to remember. The first H is of head, the second H is of heart, and the third H is of hand. That means the head is changed, the head is transformed, the knowledge aspect, the brain, it has sharpened. The second is that of heart. Heart means the attitude, the behavioral, the behavior, the emotional aspect has changed. And the third is the hand, that means different kinds of skills the student has learned. Now, this is the outcome that we are that is the goal that we are aiming towards, right? We are aiming towards making the transformation of the student on the level of head, on the level of heart, and on the level of hand. Now, dear friends, if you look at the definition of the teaching that you have written already, or many people who have not even written, you can match that definition with this. Now, let me ask you, when does this transformation happen? Does it happen on the last day of the last year? Right. So when does it happen and where does it happen? What is the geographical location of the place of this happening? Right. Okay. Thank you. I understand that it does not happen on the last day of the last year. It happens gradually and it happens every day. Right. Now, my next question to you is, if it happens every day, if it happens gradually, then where does it happen? What is the geographical location of the place where it happens? Okay. Of course, it happens in the mind, Dr. Jagdish. But what I am asking is, practicals, which is the space everywhere, right? Yeah, Sheetal Malik, you have written it happens everywhere. It is a continuous process and it happens everywhere. It happens, this change or this transformation happens inside the college, it happens outside the college. In the college, it happens in the corridors, in the playgrounds, in the labs, in the libraries, and in a very important space, that is the classroom. Right? And we would also like to believe that most of the transformation that happens, 90% of it happens should happen in the classroom. Would you agree to this or not? Right? What I'm saying is that this transformation happens, this transformation on the different 3 domains of the student's personality, it happens everywhere. When the student is with his or her friends, in the market, in the library, in the lab, everywhere it is happening, everywhere. But most likely, and we would also, as teachers, we would like to believe that we are the agents of that transformation and it happens in the classroom. Right? Do you agree to this statement or not? If you don't agree, then you can say something. If you agree, then just say, yes, we agree. Okay, thank you. Right. So if you agree to this, now my next question to you is, when a teacher goes into the class or when a student goes into the class, what preparation does the teacher do? As teachers, most of the teachers who are here, my question is to them. When you go to the class, what preparation have you made for the class? Yeah, just write briefly 1 or 2 lines. How do you prepare for your class? What are the things that you take to your class? Right. Let me ask you another question, that I have seen that most of the time when we associate teaching with knowledge, we are actually ignoring the outcome on 2 very important and significant aspects of skill as well as behavior. Right? So when I ask you that what does a teacher do, when I ask teachers that what preparation have you done when you go to the college, go to the classroom, before entering the classroom, what preparation have you done? So most of the teachers tell me that before going to the classroom, they have prepared the chapter well. Whatever chapter or whatever syllabus they are going to deliver, they make sure that they have gone through it and they know what they are going to speak to the student, right? Now, if you go with this mindset, then there is a problem. The problem is that most of the teachers focus on only one aspect, only one domain of the outcome, right? Only one domain, that is the lesson domain, or that is the knowledge domain, that you are ready to prepare, you are ready with your lesson plans, you are ready with your teaching aids, but actually what you are focusing on, you are focusing that I have to deliver this syllabus, I have to complete this syllabus. This is what is in your mind when you go to the classroom. And you just go and deliver and teach. This is your goal, the goal of the teacher. But this is a teacher's goal. It is not a student's outcome. It is not a student-centric approach. You say that I will go and teach this subject, but we are not bothered with what the student will learn. You would say that both of the things are the same, but I don't agree with you, right? There is a joke, I would tell it in Hindi. I don't know if you cannot follow, maybe I'll translate it again. And this will help you in understanding what I am trying to highlight. The joke was like this, that एक teacher class में पढ़ा रहा था, तो teacher ने कहा कि सत्य और भ्रम में क्या अंतर है? सत्य और भ्रम में क्या अंतर है? तो स्टूडेंट्स ने कहा कि आप पढ़ा रहे हैं ये तो सत्य है, लेकिन हम पढ़ रहे हैं ये आपका भ्रम है. So if you are laughing, just unmute and let me listen to your voice or laugh. Right? So the joke goes like this. Let me translate for people who don't understand Hindi. That when a teacher has asked in the class that what is the difference between truth and illusion, so the students say, the teacher you are teaching, that is the truth, but we are studying or we are learning, that is an illusion. And this illusion is also on the online, because the speaker or the teacher or the resource person, they think that they are delivering, but whether the other person on the other end is receiving it or not, we don't know, right? Yes, Dr. Jagdish Singh, I would also agree with you that all of us are in the same state. So now, if you remember this joke, it tells you that howsoever sincere a teacher would be in teaching, but if he is not bothered about the student-centric approach or the outcome-based approach of learning, there is no point in teaching. You might be a very good teacher, and your goal would be to teach, but if your students are not learning, then all your PhD, all your good communication skills, all your content knowledge comes to zero if the student is not learning. So that is why this outcome-based approach is there. Now, let me ask you, what is the outcome? What kind of outcome would you consider in skill? Because knowledge is already written. Knowledge is given. Knowledge, what you have to teach in the classroom, it is already given to you through the syllabus, that you have to teach this thing or that thing. This is the syllabus or the text content. It is already written and it is already given to you. You are focusing on it. You are preparing it. But what about the skills? Nobody tells the teacher what kind of skills do you want to impart to the student. And that is why there has been a total divorce of our teaching from skills. And the whole teaching has been narrowed down, has been reduced to knowledge giving. Or even I would not call it knowledge giving, only the teacher uttering some things which are written in the textbook in front of the students in the class. Teaching has reduced to this. And we hardly talk of the two other aspects of skill, the aspect of behavior. Now let us first of all talk of skills, right? We have students here who are engineers. Have you heard of this term, unemployable graduates? Now, who are unemployable graduates? That means they are graduates, they have a degree, they are educated, they can read, write, but they cannot do anything. They cannot, if you employ them, if you give them a job, they are hardly competent enough to do any kind of work. They can't write a proper composition, they cannot speak, they cannot defend their point, they cannot think properly, they are not creative, they cannot work in a team, they do not respect other persons, they do not have interpersonal skills, they are good for nothing. So this is the army of students that we are taking out from our colleges, because we are not focusing on the kind of skills that are to be given. Now, skills, as I said, are subject specific also and generic also. So when you go to the classroom to teach your knowledge or your chapter, please include some outcome of skill also. And the third aspect of behavior. Now, what of behavior? Do you have a vision of a student coming out of your classroom? What vision do you have? As a teacher, do you have a vision of, for example, when I have teachers who come for training to our college, we have a vision that when these teachers would go out of our training sessions, our programs, they would be learning this, this, and this. They would be transformed on this, this, and this. So we have a vision of that. Do you have a vision of what your students will be like if they have studied science? What kind of a person who has studied science should be there? What kind of behavior a person who is trained in sociology should be like? Do you have a vision of that? For example, we have taught very good surgery to a student. So the student becomes a very good surgeon. He has got ample knowledge. He has got great skills. But if you have not taught the doctor good values, the doctor would go out and commit female feticide, because the value aspect has been ignored. Right? Similarly, what is happening? We are training our students to become good lawyers or good engineers, and they are good in their knowledge, but they are poor or maybe failed in the aspect of attitude and behavior. Therefore, my dear teachers, when you go to the classroom, please focus on 3 outcomes of your teaching. And these 3 outcomes, knowledge you are already doing. But if you say, now the next question comes whenever I discuss these things, because this is kind of a monologue. So let me bring up the other aspect which usually teachers say. When I bring this question, most of the teachers say that, we cannot do this in our classrooms because we do not have time. But let me tell you that this is not to be done separately. You are already doing these, already you are focusing on the skills also and on the behavior also. Otherwise, when the student comes out of the college, he would not be transformed on these other aspects also. But the teachers are not doing it consciously. The teachers are not doing it with strategy and plans. So what you have to do is, you have to make a very conscious strategy of actually working on these 2 domains also, the domains of skill and the domain of behavior. And believe me, I can vouch for it, that it does not take extra time. It does not take extra money. It only takes a little effort. It only takes a little shift in the mindset. This is all what is needed. So, Dr. Pushpinder, I would like to stop here and let us open for this Q&A.
So thank you, ma'am. So Dr. Jayanti has explained the teaching learning process that should be focused upon outcome. So now I want to tell everybody that if someone want to ask any question or anything from Dr. Jayanti, the floor is open for the discussion. So kindly come ahead and share your doubts or share your views, because we are collaborating here from Pan India. So many kinds of thoughts can be fruitful. So anyone, it should be very fruitful and very welcoming. So share your views.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, Dr. Jagdish.
Myself is Jagdish. So, what do you think? What is the reason behind that? How we can improve this?
The reason behind this is actually the teachers, we do not talk about teaching. The thing is that we hardly talk about, there is not a cognition of our teaching. When we go to the class, most of the teachers go to the class, teach the class, come out of that, and it becomes a mechanical routine. There should be somewhere a pause where we must reflect upon our teaching. And simple fundamentals, basics of pedagogy should be taught to all teachers. And I think any college can take an initiative. Because
Basically,
now,
I think in the case of sociology or others, some BA type, the MA type, all these things are there. But in the case of science students, we do BSc and MSc, then we are the teachers. Go in that teaching line, mean to say. And in the PhD. But this type of strategies are never taught to the system in the initial days. After that, we go for the refresher course or orientation, then these are the availabilities. So after 4 or 5 years, we learn something. But in the students of B.Ed, after BSc, he's able to learn the things, such type of the things, which type of the pedagogies are there.
no. Dr. Jagdish, you are right that science students are not exposed, but I would not say that there are no skills in science or there are no attitudes.
No, I agree that it is not a matter, but actually they are not exposed in such a way.
Let me tell you that one of the things or one of the skills that a science student must have is of critical thinking, right? Is of scientific temperament. So we hardly expose or teach our students in a way that they should these kind of things they should develop these kind of things. And I would say because the teachers have themselves no exposure to this, therefore they cannot actually pass it on to the students. And it is going on like this. Because our teachers also don't know this, they pass on to the students the same blindness. And the students also continue to behave. When they become teachers, they also continue to behave in the same way. And we have this misconception of teaching being only passing on of the knowledge. So you are very right. As you said, it's not about science or non-science, but it is about that we do not stop at the whole thing, in the whole journey, since student. For example, this, what we are doing today. All of us, all these 9,500 people, we are sitting together and discussing about teaching. So these kind of reflections are needed for new teachers. It is very much needed for new teachers. I think the college should take an initiative to have if you really want to develop a good college, then in the beginning, there should be an orientation it's not an orientation, but it should be a program for the new teachers in which they are socialized into the profession, in which they should told and exposed about the strategies that are there, which can make teaching very enriching, fruitful, stimulating, and very good. Because unless the teacher quality is good, no college can prosper. And the students, our country, no country can also prosper. I think this is my very clear the experience that I have got by associating with different teachers. I have only understood that we don't need any kind of government intervention. We don't need any kind of very heavy budgets for this. We only need a sympathetic academic leadership in the form of a good principal or an HOD and some good seniors who are really ready to work for the benefit of the college. So I think that would be enough to prepare and to start a program, or to have a kind of seed or a kernel through which a whole new revolution in teaching can be brought about. This is my opinion.
Thanks a lot. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, anybody else could raise your hand or comment. You can even comment, please. Now, this thing that people don't participate, they don't question, right? This is also an indicator of the disease that is there. That we are so much aloof, that we have so much apathy that we hardly bother to actually think about it, to talk about it, right? Yeah, Gayatri, you have asked a question that how to be a confident teacher, right? Thank you very much for asking. I would reply to you as much as I can, as I myself understand. I think confidence in teaching comes from 2 or 3 things. One thing is, it comes from a good command over subject knowledge. So first of all, you should have a very good command over subject knowledge, right? There should not be anything that you do not know about your subject, though in the beginning, as a new teacher, you will also be learning. So don't hesitate from learning, because learn your subject better and learn it from everywhere. The second thing comes from knowing the teaching methodology, because even if when you know your subject method very much, you will not be a very confident teacher unless you know that how to deliver that knowledge to the students. And to deliver that knowledge to the students, there are different ways. There are, first of all, there are different techniques or pedagogical skills that are needed. For that, you can also undergo training. There are courses also. There are very good resources on the website also. So you can learn from there. And the third thing that is needed is passion. Even if you have good subject knowledge, you have good techniques, but if you are not a passionate teacher, if you don't love your students, then you cannot be a very confident teacher. So I think, Gayatri, I place before you 3 points. One is good subject knowledge. Second is knowledge of pedagogical skills. And third is being a very passionate and loving teacher. Right. So finally, I would come to this last point, and that is why do we need to teach better? Actually, there is no need to teach better, and you can be a very bad teacher, and you can go throughout your life being a bad teacher and teach generations of students in a very bad manner. Still, you would be a teacher, you would be paid your salary, you would be given your promotion, and nobody is going to point out anything to you. This is how the system works. But let me ask you, if you have decided to, first of all, decide to be a better teacher. Would you like to be a better teacher? Because nobody can force you to be a better teacher. No government policy can be there which can make you teach in a better way. They can make you, even the principal cannot force you to teach effectively. The principal or the head of the department or the government authorities, they can make sure that you are inside your classroom during the class period which has been assigned to you, but they cannot ensure that you are also teaching in a very effective manner. Right? So if you have decided to teach better, then you have to work on it. How to be a better teacher, as Gayatri has asked, then you have to actually work on it. And working on it means you have to spend time on it, to polish your skills, to enhance your knowledge, and to continue having that passion. Because that passion, as you grow up from a young teacher to a middle-aged teacher to an old teacher, that passion gradually, that it fades. And there is a burnout, right? So this is what we need, that we have that flare of passion, that flare or the flame of teaching, of loving to teach, of becoming a better teacher. It is still there in you, right? Now, Gayatri, you have asked another question, and that is how to avoid the domination of a superior. Though it is not, I think, included in today's discussion, but I would only tell you that in a workplace, there are juniors and there are seniors. Seniors are seniors because they have joined or they are born before us, and juniors are juniors because they are born after us. There is no other difference between senior and junior teachers. No difference of hierarchy. There are certain positions, technical positions like HOD is there or the principal is there. So you have to listen, or you have to listen to follow the directions that they have given. But the love or the collaborative aspect or the colleagueship that you develop, I think you can yourself develop that colleagueship. Every person, and if we have good colleagues in the department, it is a very, very beneficial and positive thing, and it can also add on to your becoming a better teacher if you have good colleagues. And having good colleagues, the first step is being a good colleague. So you be a good colleague, and the other colleagues will also fall into place. Now, Gurbaz Singh has asked that, how do you define pedagogy? So Gurbaz Singh ji, I would say that there are different definitions of pedagogy, which you can find on the net also, in the books also, technical definition. But I would say that my definition of pedagogy or my definition of teaching is that teaching is helping or facilitating the transformation of the student on the 3 domains of knowledge, skill, and behavior. The student will transform, otherwise transform. The teacher's duty, the teaching or the pedagogy is actually to facilitate that transformation, to help and support the student in that transformation. That is my definition of teaching. I hope you agree with it. Okay. Yes, please. Any other question? So, dear friends, to me, teaching is, there is this quote by Aurobindo. Aurobindo, I think you know, has been a great Indian philosopher and thinker and writer. And he says that you cannot teach anything to anybody, but people can learn. So there is a very important distinction between teaching and learning. We cannot teach, but people can learn, right? Now, what is the difference what is the actual explanation of this quote? Learning anything in life, actually teaching is the passing on of all the information and knowledge and wisdom that we have, and that we have received. That, for example, I have received it from my ancestors. All the knowledge of physics, chemistry, biology, sociology, all that knowledge we have received from our predecessors, from people who have been there before us. So when I teach, that teaching is actually the passing on of that information, wisdom, knowledge, everything to the new generation, to the new students who have born after me and who have to be passed on that heritage, that tradition. But what happens for the student when the student is learning something? He is going through a beautiful landscape. That landscape includes forests, trees, water bodies, mountains. So the student is going on that journey of learning, passing through that beautiful landscape and learning every day. Then in the middle of the journey, he comes across a gate. That is a portal. Right? A gate means a portal. A gate is there and there is a lock on the gate. The student is not able to cross that gate. At that time, the teacher comes and opens the lock with the key of knowledge. And then the student passes through that portal. Once the student passes through that portal, again there is a beautiful landscape. And the student goes on that journey alone. If a teacher who carries the student in his lap at that time, when the student is going on the journey himself or herself, the teacher will make the student a handicapped person. He would not be, the student will not be able to develop the full potential, the full qualities. He would not be able to, the student will not be able to develop if the teacher is actually carrying the student at that time. But the teacher's duty is to open that lock, because the student will not come across that gate all the time. He or she will come across the gate only very few times in his or her life. The first gate was when you passed through your nursery class. And the nursery class teacher gave you and taught you the alphabets. If you would not have been able to learn the alphabets yourself, if that nursery teacher would not have taught you. So once you have passed through that gate, you don't need that teacher anymore. The teacher has become redundant. And if the teacher says, I'll carry you along, but a good parent or a good teacher is that who only helps the student and facilitate and support the student, but let the student work for himself or herself, right? So I think Dr. Jyoti Puri, you have raised a question about the Western academia in this online teaching learning process. I do not understand actually what do you actually mean by it, but what I understand is what you are trying to say is that Western, it is a Western model. Online teaching is a Western model. I don't agree with you, because online is something that we are using in this crisis. As soon as the crisis will go away, we will not have the online teaching learning, because teaching learning cannot take place online. Teaching learning is a social process. It is not social divorced from the social realities. So teaching, and please do not use the word Western all the time, because Western includes, it is also a nuanced word. It's not a monolithic word. So we cannot use Western for everything that is there, right? So Dr. Jyoti Puri, I think we can have this discussion only when we are face to face, and we can have a debate and deliberations, and not on this online session. Yeah. Yes. Over to the department, please.
So any other questions? So thank you, ma'am. I think you have covered almost all the aspects of outcome-based education, and tell us how we can teach better. So now I request IQAC coordinator, Mata Gujri College, Professor Anupreet Singh Tiwana, to deliver a vote of thanks.
Thank you very much, Dr. Pushpinder Singh ji. First of all, I am thankful to Dr. Jayanti Dutta ji, Deputy Director, UGC-HRDC, Punjab University, Chandigarh, for sparing valuable time and for delivering a talk on a very important issue, that is OBE and recent trends in education. Ma'am, you have rightly said that OBE and NEP are the paradigm shifts in the history of the Indian education, and I have also learned many new dimensions from your style of lecture. Thank you very much. I should admit that I have learned a lot of new things from your lecture, and you made my day.
Thank you.
I also request you to give your appointment for session on NEP and curricular aspects next month maybe. And I am very thankful on the behalf of the director principal, on the behalf of the faculty, and on behalf of all the stakeholders to you. And I am also thankful to all the participants for joining this session, and we will meet again. I am also thankful to the co-convener, Dr. Gurbaz Singh, and the organizing secretary, Professor Pushpinder Singh ji. And there was nice discussion on this session. So, ma'am, thank you. Thank you very much. We will meet soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So, thank you, Professor Anupreet. So now I want to tell all the participants that please fill the feedback link of this regional public talk, and as per your feedback, we will provide the e-certificates on your email IDs as soon as possible. So once again, from the Mata Gujri College IQAC team, from Director Principal, I thank all the participants who have participated in this regional public talk, and I hope we will again collaborated for these kind of talks in the near future. So because this is the need of the hour, and we all as a teachers or as academicians or as a lovers of teaching, learning,